is just like he
You
runs
have
on
to
his
have
own.
rules.
There's no rules with Tom Benton.
Man, there's not.
No
I'm
rules.
here. Hello, everyone.
We can start now. Tom's in the house.
Been waiting to start.
I thought I was right on time, but apparently I'm late.
Apparently 1 minute late.
Oh,
but
it's
we're
only a
still-
minute.
we're
I
Whoever
still
was
can't
late.
miss
complaining,
2
I
weeks
can't
in a
believe it.
row. I missed last week. I enjoyed you all, but I had to be here.
I know. We have to have you here. Goes, okay, Julia, you might be the only one. Are you the only one that's up at Kaliba? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, I'm actually in Sacramento in my friend's back house.
I love it.
So you have to let me use my Edelweiss this week because I don't have any books. with
Got
me.
it. Okay, I'll get that going for you. Does it
But
start
yeah,
tomorrow?
I'm here for Kaliba.
Does it start tomorrow?
It starts on Wednesday.
Wednesday. So for
Yeah.
those of you who are listening who are with us right now, so Kaliba is the California Independent Booksellers Association. It's their fall meeting. So it's when we had the spring meeting in LA, which I think, did I come? No, I don't think I did anything live. That was
You
Literary
did, but
Institute.
okay.
Did we go live? Did I? Oh, shows you where my memory is at.
I think you were there. Yeah.
I was there. I just don't think we did tea time because I think it was on a Sunday.
Oh, right.
Oh,
No, I was for sure there. But I think it was on a Sunday.
Your memory is not. You still have that
I
much.
still have
memory.
some memory left, but not a whole lot. All right, so still in the middle of fall, still great releases. I have a couple that I want to tell you all about, but I'm just going to do mine in the lightning round sort of thing, because it's and Julia and I went on last Tuesday to see
Oh, was
my
that?
boyfriend, Bernie Top. Which
How was your boyfriend?
I think I told Julia the next day because I was a little concerned about Cameron Crowe doing the interview, but it was a great interview. He did a really, really good job, right, Julia?
He did, yeah.
He did a really good job. And I think I love Bernie Taupin even more after the interview. So there's that.
If that's possible. But I
If that's
guess-
possible, because I had the like full-on girl crush when I was like 12 and like staring at the album covers because he was on some of those. So
Wow.
anywho, yeah, but I can't wait. Scattershot, I can't. So now I have my copy and I can't wait. So anyways, that was really fun. So it's gonna go Julia, Gabe, and Tom, and I'll throw mine in at the very end. So Julia,
I'm pretty sure Gabe loves this spot right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
That's
It's his-
his
Call the
idea.
Sweet
Gabe
spot.
sandwich, man.
it's a sweet spot.
It's
Is
a
it
sweet spot.
The sweet spot. Well,
So speaking of Bernie Taupin,
there we go.
I brought this for Julie. This is Scattershot. It's Bernie Taupin's memoir. If you don't know Bernie Taupin, he is the lyricist for Elton John. So he wrote the lyrics to basically every hit Elton John song. Tiny Dancer is one of my personal favorites. I mean, I told Julie this, my favorite song is Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters. My favorite album is Honky Chateau from Elton John, but Bernie Taupin wrote all of those lyrics and then Elton takes them and writes the songs, the music to the songs. Yeah, we had a blast. He is really fun. This book is sort of, as the name implies, a little bit all over the place. So he doesn't like, it's not like first I did this and then I did this and then I did this. It's very like kind of stories and vignettes from all different points in his career, and in their sort of career together and their life as creators together. So it's a really great book. He talks about, there's of course celebrities in it, but he also just talks about like random people that he's met on the street and that like affected him in some way. It's just a really great, really fun read. So Scattershot, this cover on this computer screen doesn't do it justice. It's like foil stamped, so it's really pretty. So if you have a big Elton John fan in your life, even if you're not that person, this is a great gift for them.
Absolutely great gift. I can't wait to dip into this one because I usually don't read the celebrity. I mean, there's very few of them that I do read, but I'm going to read this one. So I can't wait.
And I'm guessing the look on the cover, the look he has on the cover was your first impression and really set you on the Bernie Taupin.
He was a older there. He looked a little bit, he was a little bit younger when I was looking at him.
He looks pretty young on that cover.
Yeah, he
doesn't
was
Pretty
he was a
young,
lot
that
younger.
cover.
He was a lot younger than that, Aaron. Come on.
Wow.
We're really young. Yeah, those first albums
They were really young on
Yeah.
those first albums. They were, because they were like, oh, I want to say 60, because they did like we're gonna go do a deep dive into Elton John and Bernie Taupin. I mean, they go back to like before even Your Song was out. They were doing stuff together with an album called Friends and some other stuff. So
Well, and it sounds like it's not a dishy like.
oh, I think he kind of like gives it to a few people.
I mean, I
okay.
think there's some dish.
Oh, that's always fun too.
Oh yeah, I
I
think he
have
kind of takes the gloves off a little bit with a few
Yeah.
people.
There's
So-
some dish, but
I'm
it's
happy to
not
hear it.
all. It's not all dish.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think here's what I think about it though. I don't think he doesn't dish about the people he likes. Like obviously he's not going to dish on Elton. I mean, he might give you some like behind the scenes stuff, but like for people that are kind of like jerks, I think he just like calls out the jerks, I think is basically what he does,
Fair
which
enough.
I kind of love.
Yeah.
All right, Gabe.
Right, I am going to share The World According to Joan Didion by Evelyn McDonald, who's a Southern California author. And, there's plenty of Joan Didion stuff out there. There's the actual works themselves, which are amazing in what they are and what they do, and the effect that her writing has had on individuals and the landscape. She's like carved herself into the landscape of California and LA. And I love that about, I'm a big LA, Southern California fan of. This is the best place in the world to live. This is where I grew up. You can't have a better life than you can have here. And if you can't find happiness here, you're something wrong with you. And that was Joan Didion's attitude. I mean, Joan Didion lived a really full life. She wrote about her life. She wrote about the people that surrounded her and the people that propelled her and the people that formed her. And this is what this book is about. It's looking at all those people that Joan Didion focused on the personal and the general populations that she wrote about, and the place that she wrote about, which was a lot of Southern California and LA. So much so that she is, I think, a quintessential LA writer. So I think if you're a fan of Didion's, if you want to know more about Didion, her background, if you've never read Didion, don't be intimidated. Her work is really accessible and readable, and there are a lot of short pieces you can read. But if you want a general roundup, I think this is a good place to go. It'll definitely propel you to want to read more. And for those who've read her, reread things. And I mean, I think most people who grew up in Southern California will tell you when they're booking out books that marked them, Joan Didion's going to be up there. There'll be people that come up there, and Joan Didion comes up a lot. So I think, what do we say in the notes? The World According to Joan Didion is a meditation on the people, places, and objects that propelled Didion's prose, and an invitation to journalists, storytellers, and life adventurers to throw themselves into the convulsions of the world, as she once said. So if you want some inspiration, check out my girl Joan.
So it's not a biography, right? It's
Not a biography. It is, there's definitely some biography. I mean, it's a biography of sorts, obviously. I guess you gotta say it's a broad look at the artist and the world she inhabited and the people that inhabited it with her. So it is a biography, but a broader circle biography, I guess you'd say.
I find her endlessly interesting, and I think she is growing. Her reputation, her popularity has staying power, and she is growing. To me, it's a little bit like what's happened to Toni Morrison since Toni Morrison died. Like generation after generation are reading Toni Morrison. The same is happening with Joan Didion. Young people are reading Joan Didion like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, she talks about things that young people are interested in. I mean,
Always.
Plays As It Lays is one of the best LA novels ever written. I mean, I know she's from Sacramento, and like I kind of love that because I think that besides Greta Gerwig, who else, and this is no shade to Sacramento, which I'm sitting in as we
Oh,
speak.
come on. There's shade. You're giving there's shade to Sacramento.
No, Sacramento's great. I love Sacramento. But like Greta Gerwig and Joan Didion, I feel like are the kind of famous people coming out of Sacramento. And I think that that's such like an interesting perspective on California and on Southern California. Like that gives her this like really interesting
Mhm.
perspective. So yeah.
And she moved to New York for a big chunk of her later
Yeah.
life, and yet she's still quintessentially
California.
Southern California.
Yeah.
That's
For
kind of
sure.
odd, right? Yeah.
I went to a party at Book Expo once where she walked in the door and I looked at my boss at the time and I was like, we are not cool enough to be at this party. We should leave right now. Like,
I did drive her once from her hotel to the Skirball Center. It was pretty fun, but also intimidating.
I was gonna say I would be tongue tied and wouldn't even know what to even. It's like, what are you talking about? The weather? I mean,
I have no idea what I talked about.
yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah, because it's just like I wouldn't even know where to begin to start a conversation with somebody like Joe, or for Joe Didion or somebody like her.
Yeah,
It's just,
no, it wasn't. I'm sure she didn't enjoy the conversation, but we had one.
yeah, but she might still, yeah, she might have remembered it for years, Tom. You never know.
You never know. If
You
she had a
never
longer life,
know.
she might
Let's
have
go
written
with that.
about it.
Let's go.
Let's
with
go.
that.
I'm going with that. Okay, whose book was Clouds Over California any of your books? Kim's a retired librarian that watches this. So she read that one, loved it.
oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad, Kim. Thank you.
And then she finished Calla, which is Steve's book, but is one of my favorites of the year. So I'm glad you should just wrote wow on that one, because yeah, it was good. It was really good.
That's
So,
still on my list.
yeah, it's a good one. If you're in the mood for a good literary mystery, you
In
know,
Ireland, right?
in Ireland. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good. All right, Tom. what do
All
you
right,
got?
so
I think
I
I might know
only-
what I think I might know what you have.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, go.
I'm
We'll
so
see.
curious. But I only have big blockbuster bestsellers. with me. That's all I have. I'm sorry. Penguin about to dominate the bestseller.
All
list.
right.
Sorry, everyone.
Oh, there we go.
So we start with Ken Follett. This is a terrible, like, it's not the actual book. This printout is terrible, but it's a gorgeous, I'm sure it's
Gabe's
gorgeous
gonna
in
go
real
get
life.
it, which I don't have a copy of it, but whatever,
yes.
Gabe.
Yes. Armor, it's coming your way, Julie.
Oh, sure.
Armor of Light. This
See,
is
look what Gabe's got.
Oh my God. Thank you, Gabe.
Just saying. Who's your bookseller?
Wow. Okay.
It's
So what-
on
whatever.
sale tomorrow.
Whatever.
On sale tomorrow. Doesn't get bigger than Follett, especially when he's writing these big histories. So this is book 5 in the Kingsbridge series that started, of course, with Pillars of the Earth, which is many people's favorite book of all time.
Yep.
So, and really, over the course of the 2 series, he's told 1,000 years, so 1,000 years of history in those books. And so this is the concluding volume of the Kingsbridge series. So all the more reason for fanfare and celebration. He dominates the bestseller list in the UK, here, all over the world. And the new book begins with the Industrial Revolution. It takes you like, the effects of the Industrial Revolution, from the spinning jenny to Napoleon, but always with the, like real people, and that he populates the book with, it brings, of course, like in the end of this book, he thanks historians, because he's really popular. He has taken the work, and he will freely admit this, taken the work of his real historians and popularized them. So to make them feel real, the texture of it feels real. So out tomorrow, the Washington Post says, aside from being thumping good yarns in the grand old style, each volume opens the door on a pivotal period in English history, rich in material and technical description, not least about the mysteries of structural engineering, which of course takes you back to Pillars of the Earth, which is about structural engineering as much as it was about everything else. So on sale tomorrow, #1 bestseller, Ken Follett, The Armor of Light.
And I can't remember if we were talking about this. I for some reason, my memory again, maybe I should start taking that Prevagen or whatever that stuff is that you're supposed
Whatever
to
you have
like,
the commercial,
whatever
right?
drugs you're supposed to take to keep your memory going. wait, Tom, maybe we were talking off, or I saw it on, I don't know where I saw this, but he talks about writing his like spy thriller ones that are like super just like popular, and that he's like, don't discount commercial fiction because it afforded him the ability to be able to write something like Pillars of the Earth, which was what he really wanted to write. you know?
Right,
So
which-
he wrote
which-
the,
Exactly, which people forget, but publishers were not excited for him to be doing
No.
Pillars of the Earth because they wanted more of the thrillers,
Dangerous
the World War II
Fortune and-
thrillers.
Eye of the
Right.
Needle, yeah.
Yeah.
Eye of the Dangerous Fortune, all those ones that were just like the spy sort of things that were, and he was just like, I'm
I'm
gonna
doing
now
this.
write what I'm gonna want to write.
It's
So
the same audience, apparently.
well,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at let's see, show you my messy desk. I've got a whole Ken Follett right there. I've got like
That-
all his books. I'm a little bit of a fan.
I still
So,
got
yeah.
my galley of Pillars of the Earth from, that's how
Really?
cool that is. I was a bookseller.
Yeah,
Just-
I don't have a galley of that, but I've got a galley of all, I had a galley of all the other ones, but not so sure now.
not so sure we did galleys for this book, but
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably I don't need
Much
to.
paper.
He's too big for galleys.
He's
Stop.
too big for galleys, but those were fun. Those were definitely fun to have for sure. So,
You
but
know,
I
I've
do
got a
have, I
lot-
do,
I've met a lot of people at trade shows and at like BEA, which is the big national internet book. It's an international show, obviously, rights and stuff. So a lot of thousands of people go through the BEA things. And the one time where I was like, I called my sister one time only, anybody, when I met Ken Follett walking by on a lunch break and I was closing up the booth and he's walking by. He's not a very big guy and he's very dapper in his suit.
yes.
And I'm like, oh my God, you're Ken Follett. called my sister.
Yeah.
And I was like, you'll never believe who I met right now. And I've met a lot of people. So
But he's- yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Huge fan. But I think I was because I was on and I think DG Wills, it's up the street. He's the used bookstore that's like
Yeah.
I think I bought my first edition because I have a first edition of Pillars of the Earth sitting on the shelf right
wow.
there. So I think I bought it from him. I was on a quest at one time. I got all the first editions of like Anne Rice's first books, like Interview with a Vampire. Those are right above him. Anyways, my bookshelves are full. Anywho, all right, Julia, what do you got next?
I know. Well, if we're bragging about New York Times spots,
Ooh,
Tom,
ooh,
Scattershot debuted at number 5 this week.
Oh,
So
nice.
just
Okay.
We
saying.
can all play this game.
I was just trying to be humble. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't. I just forgot
Not
to
me.
say it. So the next one I have is coming out tomorrow. It is Kerry Washington's Thicker Than Water. This is Kerry Washington's memoir. If you don't know Kerry Washington, she is probably most well known for her role on Scandal. She played Olivia Benson, she had the best coats and she drank lots of wine and she
Yep.
fixed all the political problems, including when people were murdering each other. So, pretty awesome. She was, I think, the first Black woman to lead a television show for like a 20-year period when that show first debuted on ABC. It's a Shonda Rhimes show. But before that, and then she's gone on, she's executive producing a lot of new television and film. And she was in the adaptation of Little Fires Everywhere with Reese Witherspoon, and she executive produced that. But this is her memoir. She grew up in the Bronx, New York, and sort of her memoir of how she made it from the Bronx to Hollywood, and sort of to the stardom that she's reached. It talks a lot about mental health. It talks a lot about sort of, growing up poor and Black in New York and making it into Hollywood. It's, a really fascinating story. She is a great writer. She's really thoughtful and really thought-provoking in this memoir. And she is right now on tour. So you'll probably see her doing stuff in cities all over the US. And I think she's going to be on Good Morning America tomorrow. She's going to be on one of the big shows tomorrow. So you'll be seeing a lot of her and a lot of this book. But for people who are fans of Kerry Washington or who just want a good sort of story about her life and her sort of trajectory, this is a great one.
Okay, am I giving a spoiler thing? Or did you see all over Twitter today about this
Uh-uh.
and the whole,
I've
okay,
been driving all day, Julie. What? Oh,
okay,
God.
so the whole DNA thing that happened.
The what thing?
Okay, so she went on the show, like, where are you from? Or you know that
Oh,
one
yeah,
that
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so she found out her dad from that show, her dad really wasn't her dad.
What? From
Yeah.
the show,
Oh my
from the
On the
DNA.
show, from doing the DNA test, from doing that show.
No, it's gonna happen, man. I think it's like 50-50 these days. That is like that.
So
Your
I
dad's gonna be your
wonder
dad.
if the title of the memoir, Thicker Than Water,
Yeah.
has to do with the fact that her dad really isn't her dad, but that she thinks is her dad. You know what I mean?
The
That she
chunk
could,
of the book that I read was not about that. but-
okay, but maybe not that. But it was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, that's what I spend my mornings is like
but I-
scrolling through Twitter.
But yeah, it's very possible. I mean,
Yeah.
not to give us away that sometimes we only get to read chunks of things.
Right. No, but I think that but I don't know. It may not be, but it was there was a whole thing on, there was a whole little,
But that's fascinating.
I know.
Yeah, she's a fascinating person, and I think a really fast, really smart, really articulate.
she's really smart. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the book that really you see, I think actors, it's kind of hard to tell, sometimes because they're media trained so well, and they're acting when you're usually seeing them on screen. But through a book, I think you really get her personality and sort of her whole vibe, and she is really an interesting person to read and listen to. Yeah.
I agree. Okay, so Amanda had an idea. Back to my bookshelf that I'm looking at. We should do a bookshelf brag tea time. But I think I would lose to every person that's on this screen right now for some of the books that they might have.
But let's do that.
Yeah.
Right?
But
Like-
it's not for our own company, right? Like we could just
right. Just a book
Yeah,
brag.
yeah.
I might be embarrassed by some of the stuff that I
Yeah.
read in my stack there.
I know, but it could be really fun. Like, what's the best first edition that you own or something?
Wow,
You know?
that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be a good one, man. It might be onto something there. All right,
Yeah.
Gabe, what you got?
I'm not going to talk about bestsellers. I've just really been tired of
Oh
walking
my
into bookstores and seeing the walls full of
of
remarkably
all
bright
your
Gabe is
pictures,
stuff.
above.
yellow
Gabe
face.
is above the bestseller.
All
That is-
right.
Demon Copperhead, Tom Lake, Babel. I could go on, but I only have a few minutes left.
Speaking of, we announced Ann Patchett yesterday. Ticket sales are like through the roof in one
I
day.
saw that. I just found out yesterday as well when I opened up Facebook, and there is. I'm like, what? February?
What? And I mean, if
November?
you're anywhere near San Diego, grab your tickets because they are going fast, my friends.
And we have something possibly even bigger or just as big.
Just saying.
I mean, if you're into Pulitzer Prize winners, we got them at Harper, and they might be coming to Warwick's. Anyways, we'll keep an eye out in the next couple of days. Check the site because there may be some more exciting news. And oh my God, let's move on. So I'm going to talk about the other side of our publishing program, which are these little gems that are the discoverable books. And right now, Irish fiction is very hot. We've talked about Irish fiction a lot, so I'm not going to go into it. But we got this little fella named Graham Norton, who I don't know how he is in person, but I could watch Graham Norton clips like
All day long.
all day long.
All day long.
They pop up on my phone. I get reminders. It's like I want to laugh 15 minutes with some Richard Osman
Oh.
or Tupac or Bruce
Jeez.
Springsteen.
Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman. Him and
Olivia
Olivia
Colman.
Colman are the best.
Anytime Olivia Colman is
One of the
there.
dames is on there, they're very funny, and he's very funny, and he's a novelist. This is his third or fourth novel. And I actually just saw a really lovely movie, and I can't recall the title of it. It just popped into my head that I saw this a few weeks ago that was based on one of his books. And so they're understated Irish novels. They tend to always have a hint of humor. This is a little bit of a dark humor. It's a dark comedy. It's about a woman who's an Irish school teacher. Her only son is full grown, and she meets a man, Declan, whose wife abandoned him years ago, and the kids left him, and he's been on his own, distance from his kids. So there's a lot of speculation as to what's wrong with Declan. which only seems to fuel their relationship fire and forge their bond even further. And then one day Declan gets sick and his family becomes involved and she becomes displaced. So it's a novel with a few twists. It's a novel that, as I said, it's darkly comedic and full of heart, as is anything you'd expect anything from Graham Norton to be, and the humor and the Irishness of it all. So I think something fun.
I've never read him, but I want to now because I think that because I didn't really realize that he wrote fiction. So yeah, so that's fascinating. I want to read him now very much because I do. I mean, who is the guy that just played Ken and the Barbie?
Ryan Gosling.
Oh, some of his clips with Graham Norton are
Right.
actually he laughing at other people is probably the best of Ryan Gosling. Anyways, if you aren't watching, go YouTube Graham Norton's clips. You'll be entertained wildly.
There's one with Kevin Hart and Olivia Colman where
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Kevin Hart is like on the floor.
on the
I haven't seen
Floor.
many of these, so I will
He's
be
like-
spending a lot of
He's
time.
like, I really like you. And she's like,
Yeah.
I know.
She's wild.
she's no filter. I mean, and nobody has a filter on that show. I mean, that's what I kind of
Well,
love.
because
is
they
that-
give them alcohol.
alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, and they
Yeah.
are Snoop on there. If we watch, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
So to say, I watch a little bit of the Graham Norton clips.
Yeah.
Tom, they're really fun.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I've seen some, but clearly not as many as.
Oh, yeah, they're
If you
Yeah,
can't sleep.
yeah,
It's-
they're exactly.
Oh, see, my problem is I have no trouble sleeping.
Oh, love it.
How
All right,
nice for you,
I might
Tom.
fall asleep
That must be
during tea
great.
time sometime.
Oh,
It's very
excuse me. Excuse me.
well, not tea
Sorry.
time. Sorry.
Wow.
Take offense to that a little bit. All right,
So
what you got?
after Gabe's gems, back to the bestsellers. I talked about this
That's
in
what I was
August.
thinking about.
Yes, Heather Cox Richardson's Democracy Awakening. At the time, it was just a pre-order, but tomorrow it is on sale. It is a real finished book. So she is the unlikeliest of celebrities. She teaches at Boston College. She lives in Maine, but she found her voice, I think, just before or during the pandemic when she started doing the newsletter, Letters from an American, that come out every single day. She has the most successful by a lot Substack newsletter. She is a true like star, and her fans are everywhere. Everywhere I go, people tell me how much they love her. They wait for so every day in her newsletter, she puts the day's craziness in the country in a historical perspective that makes us hopefully feel like, okay, we're not alone. We are going to get through this. There have been other times almost as crazy or crazier, and we did. So this is how she's gotten people through the last 4 years, 5, probably longer. But her fans have been waiting for a real book that puts it all in puts it the last 100 years in perspective. So she really takes us back to the New Deal and the what the New Deal meant for this country and the ideals of that and how they carried through or didn't, but mostly did through the 60s. And then she takes you from the 80s to now and how we got to where we are today. So she can easily pivot from Trump to the founding fathers, back to Trump, or to Barry Goldwater. I mean, Mitch McConnell. I mean, they're all the whole history of the country is really in here. And I think she says in her interviews, like she wanted to call this book All I Know, which is, I love that because it's like she's telling you like everything I know is in this book. I'm sure that's an overstatement, but the publisher we decided for Democracy Awakening might be a better title than All I Know. But the subtitle is Notes on the State of America. So I think a lot of people who want this book, a lot of people who follow her, and even if they don't, they need this book. And she's going to be out there from now for sure into next year, because the country kind of needs this book, I think. So, because it's both, well, Jane Mayer, the author of Dark Money, put it perfectly. It's both a cause for hope and a call to arms. So it's both of those things. So the hope is definitely there, but we have to do something before it's too late. So on sale tomorrow, Democracy Awakening, Heather Cox Richardson, or just HCR as I call her.
HCR, well, that's what she goes by, because there's if you're not following, well, her obviously, but there's also somebody that I adore and I follow her, Sharon, I can't think of her last name, Mahan, she's Sharon Says So on Instagram.
Oh, I think you've told me about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's got this thing, like she's an ex-government teacher. And she just like lays out things really succinctly, but she's got Heather on her podcast either today or tomorrow. She's going to be
Perfect.
on with her, which would just be hearing the two of them talk together. I just think would be fascinating, because I love the way that Sharon just like, she does the same thing. She just like kind of pulls everything back and lays it all out. None
They
of the
sound like
BS.
they'll be perfect together.
Yeah. So Sharon Says So. I follow her on Instagram. I think she's on, but I think that's mainly where she does stuff, is on Instagram. So anywho, okay, I'm going to tell you really quick about the one I wanted to tell you about, which I've got two that I'm going to talk about today. One is Bright Young Women. Can't really tell you a lot about it because I'll give too much away. But basically it's about a serial killer in Florida, which will give away a little bit, who killed some college
Sorority.
sorority students. So anyways, but the title I absolutely love, because the judge in the case, when this serial killer was finally in front of a judge, said that it was a shame that this happened to this person because he was such a bright young man. And it was just horrifying in the author's end, when she told the story about that is something that this judge would say to this horrific serial killer. So that's why she titled the book Bright Young Women, because it actually is the story told through them and their eyes and what happened to them, and a survivor of this horrific thing that happened. So anyways, it was fast paced, well done, page turner, even when you start realizing who this person is. And I'm not naming him because she doesn't name him in the book either, which I think is great, till like the very end. So anyways, Bright Young Women, I think it came out last week. So if you're looking for something that we're into, that fall weather, creepy kind of stories.
I think I saw her. I think she was on the Today Show. You know, where they have authors on recommending books, but then
Right.
they talked about her book too, and it sounded fantastic.
Yeah, it is really good. I mean, I have to say, you know me, I'm not the mystery. I am a little picky on that stuff, and this I thought was spot on, fast page turner. There's some interesting nuances that are in it. It was very good. So there you go. Okay, Julia, lightning round.
Okay, my lightning round choice is The Book of More Delights by Ross Gay. So this just came out. So maybe you remember The Book of Delights, which came out, I think, not last year, but the year before. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't work for Hachette at the time, so I don't exactly know, but you know, indie bookstores have just done gangbusters with The Book of Delights. And basically what Ross Gay does is, in these little essays, they're each like a page and a half, you know, maybe up to like 3 or 4 pages, but they're pretty short little essays about like daily bits of joy. So like these small pieces of joy that we all have daily. He's talking about his little small pieces of joy, but I think it's really easy to sort of like relate them to your own small pieces of joy. I think, you know, the initial book, I think, came at a time that we all kind of needed to be seeing these small bits of joy around us. And I'm not sure how much has really changed, that we still sort of need to be taking in these moments of joy. So this is, you know, book 2 in this series of his. He also has a book called Inciting Joy. And so he's just like, this is his sort of beat. Ross Gay, he's a phenomenal writer, and has won a ton of awards and written lots of other types of books, but he sort of, you know, really hit, I think, a nerve with these sort of books about joy. And this is his newest, and just as delightful and just as good as the other two. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Yep. And then you're right. He is an indie darling and sells so well. So
I remember how big that original book was. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So Amanda was able to find the conversation with Sharon and
HCR.
KCR. So she put the link into the Facebook thing. So
Excellent.
excellent. Okay, Gabe, what do you got for us?
And that book is moving fast because everybody I talked to is like a lot of special orders already, which is
Yeah.
rare that you get that many. Like, and it's everywhere. So I'm gonna finish off quickly with Jacques Pepin, Cooking My Way. We published my first, well, I've sold Jacques Pepin because I've been doing this a long time, and so has he. So we have crossed paths once upon a time, but we did very well with the chicken cookbook that he did last Christmas. It was beautifully illustrated by Jacques himself. We're very excited about his new book, which is has a similar look, very accessible and very lovely artwork, and 150 recipes included here. And what this book focuses on is all of Jacques Pepin's culinary knowledge and skills, and bringing those into your kitchen in as effortless, as efficient, and as money saving on budget smart ways that you should plan your meals, etc. So he talks about things like, buy the food when it's in season, cook the foods that are in season. They're usually a lot less, they're a lot less expensive. They're a lot more affordable. They're at their most flavorful. Why are you buying food from South America that's been bussed over and trained over, and who knows what it might taste like? How to utilize inexpensive cuts of meat, into recipes so they're made more attractive. Use up as much of your ingredients as possible. Save your trimmings for a stock. Eventually that stock could turn into a soup, and eventually you can make a sauce. So it's all utilizing and reutilizing your food, being efficient, how to take a leftover and revitalize it and make it something a little bit different. So he does all this. Like I said, 150 recipes. There are some desserts in here as well. It's an old book from a long time ago, so it's considered a new publication. It's been really grossly revised. So something fun.
And Beth's on here saying that the cover's great. Is that
Yeah,
the
it
original
is great.
cover, or did they redo the cover?
No, this is all new. He's
Okay.
He's a painter. I did not know that.
It's really good. The
Yeah.
cover's awesome.
Great colors.
Yeah, really good. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to stop doing that. There we go. Okay, Tom.
All right. So last week, Kim talked about Richard Osman, but I must talk about Richard Osman myself, because last week, when was it? Thursday night? He did 4 cities in the US. One of them was Los Angeles. It was standing room only. And it was like a return to the pre-pandemic kinds of events. He was totally delightful, just as you'd expect him to be, hilarious. I was amazed at how many, so Richard Osman, of course, author of the Thursday Murder Club. This is the 4th book in the series. And he is a quiz presenter. That's why he's famous in the UK. And there were plenty of people in the audience. Everyone had read the books, but many of them had also watched his quiz shows. I guess legally or illegally. I don't know how you watch these things, but someone told me they go up on YouTube and then they take them down, then somebody else puts them up. So if you can catch them just before they're taken down, he would be absolutely and perfect in that role. He's an entertainer, in person, live, and then in the books. So the Fab Four are back in the new book. Elizabeth, Joyce, Ron, and Ibrahim. Just you fall in love with those characters, but he takes them to new places, and also he does, and Kim talked about this last week. He does a beautiful job, as these are aging people and dealing with dementia around them. is done very sensitively and it's really touching. So you laugh and you cry, and this could be his very best book. He set records in the UK with this book. The only books to sell more in the first week on sale were The Da Vinci Code and Harper Lee's Go Set a Watchman. That's how many, almost sold, I think, 1 million copies in the UK in the first week.
Wow.
So that's what's happening in the UK. He is an absolute, here it's been a more organic build, like reader after reader after reader telling each other. So it's kind of interesting how it's happening side by side. We're going about it differently, but he's a big bestseller here, just slowly but surely increasing with each book. So this is not the last book in the series, but he's taking a break with the Thursday Murder Club, and he'll write a different book next year, which, as he says, if it does well, it'll be the beginning of a new series. If not, it'll be a standalone. So we look forward to that next September. But in the meantime, right now, on sale last week, I think, The Last Devil to Die.
Okay. Can I call you out a little bit, Tom?
Oh, sure.
Maybe. Okay.
Are we live? Wait, Julie, are we live?
We're live. We're
Okay.
live. We're still live. Okay. You posted on social because Tom, you're not a short guy because you're taller than I am.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I should have that picture. Why don't I have that picture?
I have it.
Oh,
Oh, he's a giant.
Oh my
I know,
God.
I am not used to feeling that way, but yes,
You
you're
have the
right.
shoulders?
He's a giant.
You
Yeah,
that is wild.
I went.
Mr. Osmond.
Is it stand? I was
Wow.
cracking
Is
up.
he like 6'4", 6'5"? He's
No, he's got to be 6'7", 6.
Six,
Yeah,
I
seven.
say 6, 7, or 8. I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
Tom, you're at least 6 foot, aren't you? If
I'm
not
6.
more?
Well,
You're
I
6'1"?
think I always say I'm 6'1", so let's
Yeah.
go with that.
That's what I thought. I
me
mean, I
just
thought
explain.
you were.
But we're not. There's nothing. We're not in the same ballpark at all.
Somebody down here is saying he's 7 feet tall.
No, it's true. You thought there was something wrong with the picture, like it was some kind of weird, like funhouse
It
mirror.
was a funhouse thing going on. I was just like, oh my God. But I was cracking up. It's like, yeah, and it looked like you had a great audience there. So
It
super
was,
fun.
yeah. It was
Yeah.
it was just like everyone was jazzed and thrilled, and he's so funny. He's just
hilarious.
naturally like so quick.
Yeah.
It was great.
Okay. So I'm going to end up with just a really quick one because this was a book that I loved too. I think this just came out last week. Daniel Mason wrote, for any of you who are familiar with him, he wrote The Winter Soldier, which came out a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I think, maybe even longer ago than that, well, with COVID. So this is a book about a cabin in the woods in the Northeast, and it's like 400-year history of what so it's the catalyst of it, but like the families and people who have come into this cabin and what the history is. And it's just, it was unique. It was just so good. It's just a really good, it's not, I wouldn't say like fast-paced page turner kind of book, but if you're in the mood for just sinking into a really good, deep story, it's really good. So
I've been
Northwoods.
hearing really great things about that book. And I heard
Yeah.
an interview with him. It was fascinating. He's also a doctor, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, I think you're right. Yeah. Because I think somebody was saying it's like kind of comparing him to Abraham Verghese.
Yeah.
In a way that he was a doctor, and wrote
Right.
these like really thought-provoking, it's really good. So, and
That
I
sounds
really
great.
enjoyed Northwoods. So that's it for us today. Hold on, let me see if they've got anything coming on. Any more comments coming? Nope, no more comments. So it's all good. So we are done for this week. Julia, we'll hear a report back from you from Kaliba and how awesome that is next week, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I'll be like in my quick turnaround between Kaliba and then MPIBA, which I have to fly to the day after
Oh,
we do our thing.
well,
So,
hopefully we'll catch you
Wow.
in between on that.
I'll see
I'll
you
try
at
to-
NPIBA.
poke my head
Okay,
in.
you're going to that, Gabe?
Yep.
All right.
Tom, you're not?
Oh, good.
Tom's not?
What?
Tom's not? You going to Mountains and Plains? No. Oh, Tom's just shaking his head.
You don't
Okay,
call
we're
him
gonna-
I don't go anywhere. I'm not
Tom,
going-
we're
I'm not leaving this room.
All
That's
right,
what it
everybody.
That's just what it feels like, but
happy reading, lots of good books, lots more next week too, because I was looking at what's coming next week too. So it's
Yeah.
really fun. It's a really fun season. So like I said, if you haven't gotten your Ann Patchett tickets and you're in San Diego, get them and wait for another really fun announcement from us next week. Bye,
Wow.
everybody. Oops, wait, there we go.